In an era obsessed with acceleration, where movement is mistaken for progress and volume is confused with importance, there exists a strength few recognize. It's subtle, unspoken, and often invisible to the hurried eye. But it's there, in the pause between words, in the space between reactions. This is the quiet mind, the one that doesn't rush to fill silence, but honors it. The one that isn't driven by applause, but by clarity. The one that doesn't crave attention, but offers presence. And though society often misreads them, calling them distant, aloof, or too quiet, they are rarely lost. In fact, they are often the most grounded ones in the room. Because while others sprint to be heard, they are learning how to truly listen. We live in a time where everything must be immediate. Answers, reactions, decisions, validation. There is barely space to breathe, let alone think. In this frenzy, silence becomes uncomfortable. Stillness becomes suspect. People confuse speed with success. They chase after stimulation like it's oxygen. And those who choose stillness, they're told they're falling behind, but they're not behind. They're just tuned to a rhythm the world forgot. Because when you never slow down, you stop noticing. You stop noticing the ache behind someone's smile, the weight in your own chest, the quiet warning in your intuition. You become a stranger to yourself, numbed by the noise. So some choose to step back, not out of weakness, but wisdom. They withdraw to reconnect, not to escape, but to return to themselves. This isn't isolation. It's realignment, a sacred pause in a world that never stops spinning. While others fill every gap with distraction, the quiet mind fills it with awareness. And in that silence, they hear what others miss. The soft voice of their own values, the whisper of unprocessed pain, the clarity that only comes when everything else goes quiet. To the world, it looks like disappearance, but it's actually a deep return, a coming home. People often misunderstand silence. They think it's awkward, or cold, or shy. But not all silence is the same. There's the silence of fear, when someone feels too small to speak. There's the silence of suppression, when a voice has been denied or dismissed. And then there's the silence of self-possession. The silence that comes from choice, not from being silenced. The quiet that says, I could speak now, but I choose not to. Not out of insecurity, but from a place of depth, not out of fear, but out of strength. This is the kind of silence that holds presence, not absence, intention, not avoidance. It's the stillness of someone who doesn't perform just to be seen. In rooms full of noise, most people listen to reply, but the quiet mind listens to understand that they don't just hear what's said, they feel what's meant, they notice what's left out. They track the shifts in tone, the micro-tensions in a gesture, the hesitations in a sigh. While others are lost in performance, the quiet ones are attuned to truth. They sense what isn't being spoken, they read what others miss, not because they're magical, but because they are fully here. Presence is their language, and in a world addicted to distraction, that presence is radical. For years, many quiet people feel the pressure to explain themselves, to soften their seriousness, to defend their solitude, to justify their stillness. They try to be more outgoing, more expressive, more likable. Until one day, something shifts. They realize they don't need to convert their truth into something more digestible. They don't need to be understood to be valid. They don't need to raise their volume just to be noticed. Because understanding is a gift, not a requirement. And when that lands, they stop shrinking and they stop performing. They stop apologizing for being exactly who they are. There's a myth that quiet people are empty, that their stillness means a lack of thought or feeling. But it's the opposite. The quiet mind isn't empty. It's attuned. It's observing, processing, absorbing. So It notices the fatigue hidden behind a joke, the anxiety cloaked in confidence, the discomfort in someone's laughter, not to judge, but to understand. This isn't overthinking, it's insight. And when guided by love, not fear, that insight becomes a gift, a superpower. Because in a world obsessed with appearances, the quiet mind is focused on essence. A quiet presence can be more commanding than the loudest voice. Because it doesn't demand, it reveals, it doesn't try to control the room, it changes the room, just by being. Their impact is not in what they say, but in how they make people feel safe, seen, considered. They create space, not pressure. They offer depth, not drama. And people leave their presence changed, without knowing why. Because when someone is fully present, it awakens something in you, a calm, a reflection, a remembering. Stillness, ironically, can be provocative. Your calm will unsettle those addicted to chaos. Your boundaries will irritate those who benefit from your blur. Your silence will threaten those who use volume to hide. Because your peace reminds them of their noise, your clarity reveals their confusion. But you are not here to be palatable. You are not responsible for their discomfort. You are not a mirror for their projections. You are a home for your own truth, so protect your peace like a sacred ritual. Not with force, but with intention. Fence your time. Guard your solitude. Honor your rhythm. Because the world will never stop asking for more, but you can stop giving away what is most valuable. Your clarity, your presence, your stillness. This isn't selfish. It's wise. The quiet mind knows. Not everything deserves a reaction. Not every noise deserves a reply. Not every invitation deserves a yes. You've heard it before. Why are you so quiet? Quiet. Because that quiet makes them confront themselves. But here's the truth. You are not too quiet. You are complete. Your voice doesn't need to echo to carry weight. Your presence doesn't need to perform to be real. Your thoughts don't need translation to be valid. You don't need to be more of anything. You just need to be more of yourself, and that is enough. There's a quiet power in being underestimated, in being the one no one expects, the one who blends into the background, the one who observes instead of interrupts. People rarely see you coming. They assume your silence means absence. But you've been watching, listening, learning. You've seen how people reveal themselves when they think no one's paying attention. You've noticed the patterns, the pressure points, the unspoken motives. And so when you finally act, it's deliberate, precise, rooted in understanding, not impulse. That's what makes the quiet mind dangerous. In the best way, it's not loud, but it's deeply aware. It doesn't rush, but it rarely misses. In a world where everyone's broadcasting their lives, silence becomes a rebellion, an act of restraint in an era of oversharing. While others post, declare, and announce, the quiet ones build in private, grieve in private, heal in private. They don't need an audience to grow. They don't need external confirmation to validate internal shifts, because their transformation isn't for display. It's for depth. And depth is earned in silence. Not in the echo of applause, but in the echo of your own voice returning to you in solitude. Life isn't quiet. It's messy, it's chaotic. It screams, it pulls, it crashes in waves. But even within the storm, there is stillness. If you know where to find it, the quiet mind doesn't avoid chaos. It holds space for it. It walks into tension and doesn't flinch. It feels fear and doesn't deny it. It allows discomfort and doesn't flee. Because stillness doesn't mean absence of struggle. It means the refusal to abandon yourself inside it. It's the eye of the storm, not untouched, but unmoved. The world often promotes the loudest person in the room. But real leadership doesn't need a microphone. It needs presence. It needs emotional regulation. It needs the ability to pause when others react. Quiet minds make powerful leaders, not because they dominate, but because they discern. not because they speak over others, but because they listen beneath the surface. Their leadership is rooted in restraint, in patience, in precision. They don't chase attention. They earn respect. And when they speak, the room quiets, not out of fear, but out of respect for the weight their silence carried before the words arrived. You've probably been told that being social means being outgoing, that connection requires extroversion, that to be liked, you must be seen. But the quiet mind redefines connection. They build it through presence, not performance, through sincerity, not spectacle, through depth, not decoration. Their friendships are few, but rich. Their conversations are sparse, but meaningful. Their love is quiet, but steadfast, because connection isn't how many people see you. It's how deeply one person does. Many quiet people spent years trying to become someone louder, more expressive, more energetic, more accepted, and it worked for a while. Until the performance became exhausting, until the laughter felt hollow, until the mirror showed someone unfamiliar. There comes a moment when pretending costs more than being misunderstood. And that's the turning point. When you stop twisting yourself into shapes for other people's comfort, when you stop trading authenticity for belonging, when you start choosing truth, even if it means solitude. Because you realize the price of false acceptance is your own peace, and it's not worth it. Stillness isn't the absence of thought, it's the alignment of it. The quiet mind doesn't stop the storm. It stops being ruled by it. It witnesses the thought, questions, it refuses to merge with it. This is the mind that says, not every thought is truth, not every emotion is a command, not every fear is real. This is the language of inner peace, not silence as avoidance, but silence as sovereignty. In a culture that rewards shock and spectacle, stillness can feel rebellious. Choosing simplicity over stimulation feels like falling behind, but boredom is not always emptiness. It's often the threshold of creativity, of insight, of restoration. The quiet mind isn't afraid of nothing happening. It sees value in slowness, in long walks, in staring out the window, in undistracted thought, because something is happening. You're recalibrating, you're digesting, you're tuning back into what's real. This courage, to be boring, to be still, to be present, is the foundation of a resilient inner world. Eventually, you stop explaining your quiet nature. You stop over-justifying your boundaries. Stop giving disclaimers before your silence. Stop feeling guilty for needing time alone. You don't owe anyone an emotional translation. Because the right people won't need subtitles for your soul. They'll speak the same language. They'll feel the fullness of your quiet. They'll trust your pace. They'll honor your stillness. And those who don't, they were never meant to walk beside you for long. Here's what the world often overlooks. That the person sitting quietly in the corner may be the most emotionally intelligent one there. That the one who says little may be carrying worlds of insight. That the one who withdraws may be the only one truly paying attention. Stillness isn't a lack. It's a filter. It sifts the essential from the noise. It reveals what matters and discards what doesn't. And those who live from this place aren't trying to be impressive. They're trying to be aligned, not louder, just truer. At the end of it all, when the noise fades, when the crowd disperses, what's left? Presence. The quality of your attention, the depth of your integrity, the stillness of your spirit. You don't need to conquer rooms to be powerful. You don't need to dominate to be impactful. You just need to be here, fully, genuinely, quietly. That presence, that non-anxious, rooted awareness, is magnetic. It calms rooms, heals wounds, invites others to slow down, soften, and come home to themselves, not because you told them to, but because you modeled it. So return to your pace, to your stillness, to your presence. Let the world rush around you. Let it mistake noise for influence. speed for growth, visibility for value. You are not of that world. You are not here to compete with chaos. You are here to remember what the world forgets, that silence is not absence. It's awareness, that presence is not performance, it's power. You don't need to be louder, just more you, fully, quietly, unapologetically. If your quiet nature has made you feel invisible, know this: there is power in not being easily defined. There is clarity in not needing constant affirmation. There is freedom in not chasing noise. You are not behind. You are not too quiet. You are not too still. You are a sanctuary in a chaotic world. And that is a gift, not just to you, but to everyone lucky enough to feel your presence. If this hit home, drop a comment. Subscribe to The Thought Foundry. Take care of your mind, and I'll see you in the next dive.